Introducing Zach Davis and Josh Anderson with the Sound Money Podcast.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Sound Money Sound Principles Podcast. My name is Josh Anderson here with Zach Davis. How are you, Zach?
I'm good, Josh. How's everybody?
Oh, man, it is awesome to be back. We've been away from the listeners for a little while. We've been crazy business travel for the better part of, I don't even know, a month. We've been hardly been home, been all over the world and doing some fun projects. Zach, how's the last month been for you?
It's been good, been crazy. We had a big convention for one of our companies. It was awesome. Got to see lots of our people, unveil some really new, cool, innovative, and exciting technology that is going to level up their businesses. Let's see, the last week I spent down guiding a bear hunt, which was pretty brutal. It was hot. It was really hot. But it's been a good month, a busy month.
It's been a busy month, and I was back down at our lodge yesterday, but I did get to ride my adventure bike down there and back because I was in a hurry. We had some of our great friends doing some amazing things in the world with they're the foremost leading stained glass artists in the world, and Tom and Gail Holdman, and we were able to spend some time with them. And just been busy, but really good busy. Sometimes you can be bad busy, you can be good busy. And it's been a good busy, but we apologize to the listeners, and we're happy to be back today. And we want to talk about a topic today that's like really near and dear to our heart. We're taking on this challenge today, Zach, mostly because our listeners have really been asking us over and over about two important topics around our business. One of our businesses. I have my backdrop up today for Sound Money. Our listeners have been really clamoring to know what we think. What does Josh Anderson and Zach Davis think about the gold and silver market, right, for 2025? What do we think about sound money? That's the term we've coined and used to describe gold and silver. And man, 2025, we're halfway through almost, right? 6 months in. And there's some serious questions people are asking us around where we feel like gold and silver is currently, right? And this question is really telling, Zach. Some people feel like gold and silver, man, it's on this all-time high spike, right? We did an episode like 6 months ago highlighting that gold and silver at the time was at an all-time high. And you remember that all-time high was like $2,700 an ounce.
Yeah.
Think about
here
that.
We are again.
And here we are again. We're at $3,350 an ounce for gold, $3,500 or $35 for silver. And you got to think, when we did the episode that gold hit an all-time high, it was at $2,800. And we said, my goodness, this is crazy. And people were asking us the same question they're asking today, which is, it's got to be at the top. And I feel terrible because a whole bunch of people, after we did that episode, they're like, it's at the top. I'm not going to buy. Some of our dear friends said, I'm not going to buy. It's at the top. It's going to drop. Well, guess what? It hasn't dropped. It's went to $3,351 today. And Zach, so, we're getting this question again. So we want to tackle it. Let's talk a little bit today about gold and silver, what's causing it to do what it's doing, and do we individually, what do we feel like is going to happen this year? So paint the picture for people, what's going on in the world and why, and maybe some thoughts for Zach, why you think that what you feel like is going to continue to happen, given that we told everyone when it was at $2,700, it's not too high. It's not too high. So how do you feel about it? And answer that same question and do it. Let's do it with our knowledge of the industry.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really fair question. It's a valid question, right? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? I mean, obviously we know that all markets are cyclical, right? And there are these ups and downs that happen, but I mean, my word. And you're right. I mean, people are asking more and more because it's been the last 10 years that we've really gotten pretty serious in the gold and silver space, and people know that that we have a couple businesses in it and doing it, right? And so, before, when the prices were a little lower, people are like, oh, that's cute, got that little business going on there. They have no idea, in the background how much gold and silver really is moving. And now the prices are high, I'm starting to get a lot of people are like, oh, maybe I should do this. And so do I do it? Do I not do it? My philosophy, Josh, has always been dollar. The people that are like, oh no, you got to time the market. You got to get it when it's on the bottom and then sell it when it's on the top. Yeah. Okay. you can try to do that, but some of the best and brightest minds in the world cannot guess when those highs and lows are. Like it's pretty much an impossibility. Even the smartest AI right now can't do it. So to try to time and predict the market, I think is a little bit irresponsible and foolish. I mean, there are some people that have been successful with that attempt, right? But by and large, the average person is just going to be better dollar cost averaging. And what I mean by dollar cost averaging is people say, is it a good time to buy? My answer is yes. Right? It is always a good time to buy because you're going to buy some on the highs, you're going to buy some on the lows, and over time, the dollar cost of that averages out, right? So you may not sell it at the highest, but I'm more of a contrarian. I don't ever sell anyway. In fact, I don't think I've maybe sold a couple of collectible coins just to play with some of the technology that we have, but I don't plan on selling it. So my philosophy is always just buy a little bit as you go. Like just buy a little bit every month. And even if the price does start coming down, it doesn't matter because you're dollar cost averaging. Every time you're buying, you're averaging out that cost. So that would be my buying strategy. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, right? And there's no globe that says this is exactly what's going to happen. But, I mean, history is a great teacher of what the future holds. And if you look at what has gone on in history with all these other different countries around the world, you look at where we're at in our country, we have this big, beautiful bill that as we're recording this podcast, it's going to the Senate, right? And we have some senators that have dug their heels in and said, in unknown certain circumstances, am I going to sign on to this in the Republican Party? And we have some that are really pushing it hard. But I mean, here's the thing I look at, Josh. We have had periods where we have shrunk the government for a moment in time. But over the long term, the government has always gotten bigger, right? And when the government gets bigger, that means there is less money supply in the private sector unless they print more, and they will. And that's inflationary. And now your money's not worth anything. So I just personally look at what's going on right now with President Trump. I mean, he says he wants to control spending, but then he has this bill, age of this thing, but I've looked at quite a bit of it. Yeah, there's some good things in there, right? But it also raises the debt ceiling, which what do you do? Why would you raise a debt ceiling? The reason you raise a debt ceiling is so you have the authority to print more money. It has to come from somewhere, right? The interest on the debt that we currently have right now, it costs us more every year than our whole defense budget. And so, I mean, government has this insatiable desire to bring the money home to their constituents. In other words, they are always going to vote themselves more money. And if they continue to vote themselves more money, then we're going to continue to see inflation. We're going to continue to see the withering away of the dollar. And then what's left, right? You go, okay, there's cryptos. Sure. Cryptos, okay, with all the inherent challenges they have. But the one thing that has stood the test of time for 5,000 plus years, Josh, is gold and silver. Right? I don't see China scrambling to buy as much Bitcoin as they can today. Now, are they buying some? I'm sure. But they're scrambling to buy more gold and silver. India, scrambling to buy more gold and silver. Even the US, the central banks, they're all scrambling to buy more gold and silver. It is the commodity that has stood the test of time. So I just don't see a huge drop in price for a while.
Yeah, and some interesting things happened since you and I last talked to the listeners 2 weeks ago, Zach. I love to follow the markets, and I really feel like in all the businesses we're in that if we don't understand what's going on in the stock market, the bond market, the yield markets, and the gold and silver markets, that we're going to get beat. We're going to lose, right? So we greatly study them, right? We do that because many of our listeners that are listening today, right? They are members of our company 7K Metals and they use the Sound Money wallet, and we have this fiduciary responsibility to ensure that we know what's going on in the world for them. So 2 weeks ago, right, when we were in Orlando, there was a bond auction, a small bond auction for the United States of America, 16 billion. I mean, an itty bitty bond auction. And for the first time in the history of those bond auctions, no one showed up to buy the $16 billion worth of bonds at the current rate. And you might think, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is that's how we increase debt. That's how we print money. That's how we do things. That's how we operate as a country. Nobody bought them in the past. China, Japan, India, the governments of the world, and then hedge funds and investments and retirement accounts buy our U.S. bonds, treasuries, to fund themselves, right? Well, no one showed up at the current rate to buy them. And so by the end of the day, they increased the rate on that bond by 1.5 additional points, taking it up to close to 7%. And that's when they finally got a buyer. Well, that's really, really dangerous. What that says is no one has confidence that our government is headed in the right direction when it comes to these inflationary tactics and spending. At the next day, it became much worse for the country of Japan. So that happened for the United States. And the following day, no one bought the yen carry bonds. They didn't sell. That's the first time that's ever happened. So to your point, right? If I bring this up because is gold going to go down? It may go down, but here's the deal. The indicators that we look at in the world are saying we are not even close to seeing anywhere close to the ceiling of gold. We're actually seeing gold being, the indicators say it's going to exponentially grow when no one shows up to the U.S. bonds without us in treasury, without us increasing by 1.5, and when no one shows up to buy the Japanese yen bond. That means that gold is greatly undervalued.
It's because it's an indicator, like you say, that people, because it's a debt instrument, right? People buying your debt. And so basically it's like you go to the bank and the bank says, I'm not going to give you a loan because I don't think you'll pay it back. So we tried to sell our debt to people
nobody
who wanted to buy it. And people went, we don't think you're making good fiscal decisions right now. We don't think you can actually pay your debts back. So we're not going to buy your debt.
And what you don't realize, and when they have to add 1.5 to it, that just to your point, right? It made it, we now carry, it costs $1 trillion extra a year in interest payments for the United States of America. And when it goes up 1.5, right, that goes to like 1.2 trillion. So a year. So like these little points are what crush civilizations. I'm going to share something with you, Zach. This is something I thought was really interesting. If for our listeners that are watching, or watching online, they can see this. I'll drag this over here. This was put out by Market Watch, right? Market Watch, if you're not familiar, Market Watch is an organization that puts out information for traders in the world, economic information, so that you can make better decisions. This was interesting. This was January 3rd.
And by the way, the listeners should know, gold and silver is typically a conservative conversation. Okay.
Yes.
Market Watch is anything but a conservative institution.
They're all about pumping sales of stocks. Okay?
So for them to write an article about what they've written here, it says something.
By the way, I did think it was comical, Zach, that the illustration, this yellow brick road and 7K, kind of fitting for you and I, but since how we have ownership in a company called 7K Metals, right? Kind of interesting. Yeah. But the balance of this article, right, talks about how things are down. It talks about how back in 2024, when gold was at $2,100, everybody thought, oh my goodness, it's hit the top. No, it's never going to go higher. And then it has rocketed up to $3,500, $3,450. And their take on this is that given where the S&P 500 is, given where gold and silver is, given all the indicators, they believe it has an upside of almost $7,000 in the next 12 months. Think about that, right? That is insane. And then they go on to talk about why their analytics, and this is to your point, Zach, this is an organization who does not make any money on gold and silver and does not want you to actually buy gold and silver. And so I'm always amazed when organizations that actually are anti-gold and silver start telling the world, oh my goodness, this is on a rocket ship. This is on an exponential growth pattern because of every other indicator. And so to answer the listener's question, right? Yes, we absolutely believe that governments of the world are making poorer and poorer fiscal decisions every single day, which drives gold and silver up. We absolutely believe that we are only seeing the start to an increase in value in precious metals and sound money. And so we would tell all listeners, like you just said, Zach, people should be buying it a little bit at a time at what they can handle and what they can do. And it's interesting to me, Zach, we set out on a mission now 5.5 years ago, or 5 years ago right now, June. We started a company called the Sound Money Wallet. And we started it because back then when gold and silver were trading at $1,600 an ounce for gold and $16 an ounce for silver, we said, hey, we're getting to a point where it's getting priced out for the common man and the common woman, right, around the world. They can't pay $1,600 for gold an ounce, let alone participate in it. Now we're at $3,400, right, in 5 years. They definitely can't participate. And so give a little background of what we did there, and then how it's a solution to these problems. And then I'll demonstrate it and kind of show what we've done there. It's really kind of fun.
Yeah, I think the other question too, Josh, that people ask is, I think more and more people are waking up to the idea that gold and silver is good, right? You see all these commercials on TV, and for a lot of years, people are like, yeah, that's just those weirdos. Well, turns out most of the weirdos, they predicted it right. So, but I think one of the other major questions that people have is like, so what? I get gold and silver and I own it. What the heck do I do with it? Like that has been probably the biggest challenge, I think, with most people around this idea of having gold and silver, because they're like, I can't just go down to the store and buy something with it. By the way, with this conversation, there's some really fun and exciting new legislation that we're working with around that to make those things happen, but it's not here yet. But what is here is this idea of, if you own gold and silver, now what do I do with it? Because I need to pay my mortgage, right? And the bank's not going to take my gold. My auto insurance company is not going to take my gold. How do I pay my bills? So we really set out to solve that problem a few years ago, and also this problem of, well, I don't have $1,600, and most people today don't have $3,500. So we created a company, like Josh was saying, called Sound Money Wallet, and the whole idea basically is to be able to buy gold and silver fractionally. So whatever you have, you can buy. Now, when you purchase it, Sound Money actually goes and buys in whole ounce amounts gold or silver to back what you purchased. So if you go in and say, well, I want $100 worth of gold. Well, you can't buy $100 worth of gold in any physical denomination, right? They don't make it. So electronically, you own $100 worth of gold, but on the back end, we go buy a full ounce of gold that's sitting in the vault. So you have access to it. So if you want to liquidate that $100 worth of gold, you could jump on your Sound Money Wallet app and you could say, give me $50, right? I want $50 back. Well, we would instantly liquidate $50 and put the cash back in your bank account. Now you can go buy, or you can go pay, right, a bill or whatever. So really what we did with Sound Money Wallet is we tried to solve a couple of problems and make gold and silver more usable, so you can go into a gold position or silver position and back to a cash position really quickly without any haggling, right? You can see the spot price. You can see exactly what we're gonna buy it back for, what we're gonna sell it for. So it really streamlined the process. And then I think the biggest thing it does, like you say, Josh, is it takes the fear out of buying gold and silver, because people are like, I can't afford to go buy a full ounce. And then where do I put it? I put it on my mattress? Do I hide it in the cupboards in the kitchen? Do I put it in the backyard and bury it somewhere? Oh, you store it in a secure vault, right? And it's sitting here. And if you want the gold, we'll ship it to you once you get to a full ounce of it. Or if you need the cash, you can liquidate it. So it's made the usability of gold and silver extremely attractive for people.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because when we launched the company, we stood on a stage and we told people, we looked out in the future and said, one day we're going to have people who are wise enough to take and not hold their money in fiat currency in a bank, in a savings account, right? Because anytime you leave fiat currency in a bank account, it is eroded away every day with inflation. And it buys less next year than it bought this year. And in 5 years, it buys way less than it bought today. And then that's inflation. Well, because of that, we stood on a stage and we said, hey, one day wise people will store that savings in sound money, in gold or silver, in one of our 4 asset classes, and they'll be saving it there for a house, for example. And because they're saving it in something that always maintains its purchasing power, it's never diminished. Purchasing power of gold and silver is never diminished. Okay. It's anti-inflationary. And so the beautiful thing is we said, hey, if you did that, right, you'd one day, when your friends and family and neighbors didn't do that, they wouldn't be able to buy the house. They could never keep up with the curve, right? You could, if the bank told you it takes $50,000 for your down payment for your house today, and you start saving, and it's going to take you 2 years to save the $50,000. In 2 years, you have the $50,000. But Zach, is the bank going to still say that you only have to have $50,000 for that house?
No,
No.
Price went up.
Price went up of the house, and
Value of the
interest
dollar went down.
Value of the dollar went down. So guess what? They're going to tell you need $75,000. By the way, the last 2 years, if you were saving for a house, $50,000 is what you needed, for example, it would have been, now they'd require $75,000. That's the inflationary number. Okay. And we told people 5 years ago, hey, don't save your money in fiat currency if you're trying to save for a house. Well, this last week, I had the opportunity, Zach, to talk to one of our members of Sound Money who, just a year ago, she had a tragedy. They had a tragedy go on in their family, and her husband passed away, and they had some insurance money, and didn't know what to do with it. Scared of the stock market, a little nervous of what was going on in the world. And thank goodness she didn't put it in the stock market. Kind of would have got beat up a little bit. So she put it into the Sound Money wallet. And a years went by, and she had the epiphany, maybe I should downsize my life, right? Maybe I should get into a home that's a little smaller, and maybe I should take some of that money and I should get a home that has no mortgage, live debt free. To her surprise, she logged into her Sound Money wallet, and
she hadn't been in for a long time.
No, hadn't been in for almost 9 months. Hadn't looked at it, and because of that, when she logged in, she realized, oh my goodness, I am going to buy a $250,000 house on just the increase that gold increased and silver increased this year, on just the increase. And so she pulled it out and she made a cash offer, and she's buying a home right now, closes this next month on a home with just the increase, because it's anti-inflationary. Thank goodness she didn't leave it in fiat currency, right? Thank goodness she didn't just leave it in a savings account.
Well,
Thank
Josh,
goodness she put it in the market.
Yeah, this is like the saddest thing to me. We have somehow in America sold this idea that the greatest asset you can ever own is your home. And so you put the highest percentage of your wealth into your home that is not liquid, that you can't do anything with, right? But we have all these young kids. I have some young kids that I work with here in our community who have been trying to buy a house, and they've been doing exactly what you just said earlier. They put money in the bank. They've been working extra jobs. They've been very disciplined, and they've been saving up, right? Because they're like, the bank says I have to have $100,000 down payment. So we're saving up. Takes them a couple years. They get to that $100,000 down payment. They go back into the bank and say, okay, we're ready. And like, I have people that I know that are very good friends of mine and their kids here that are going through the exact scenario that you just laid out. They go back to the bank and say, okay, we're excited. We got our building plans right here. We got our lot picked out. Here's $100,000 to put down. The bank goes, well, you now have to have $125,000 or $150,000 down payment. And they're like completely deflated, completely discouraged. And then they go, okay, it took us 2 years to do this. Another year or another 6 months, we can have this saved up. And then another year or another 6 months goes by. They save up the $150,000 that they need. They go back to the bank, and the bank says the same thing, right? That it's running away from them. So all these young kids, for me, okay, I'll tell you exact. So my daughter, okay, she had some money. She went out. She wanted to serve a mission for our church. So she had this money sitting in the bank account. She's like, Dad, I'm not going to need this money for this 18 months. I'm going to be out here doing this. What do I do with it? I'm like, well, what do you think your dad's going to tell you to do with it, right?
Exactly.
She's like, okay, can you open me a Sound Money wallet account? I'm like, absolutely. Let's get you something started, right? She just turned 18. We can do that. So We open it up, we put the money in, and it's been about a month and a half. And last time I was talking to her, she's like, "Oh, Dad, what's that done?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't really know." So I went in and looked. The number I told her, she was like, "Holy cow, that grew." Like, yeah. But man, imagine if we'd just left that sitting in the bank.
Yeah.
All right. So like, it's not a fantasy that we're talking about with gold and silver. Like, it is real.
It's absolutely real. And it's why you and I are so passionate about it, right? For all the listeners, we absolutely believe that every single one of you are listening to this podcast, wherever you are in the world, you've got to have a Sound Money wallet account. You got to use it. You got to put on autopilot, a little bit of money every month. If you got $100, $50, $200, it doesn't matter, but you got to do something or you're getting blown away. And if you have savings, do not leave your savings in the bank. Especially when there's a vehicle out there where you can do it in gold and silver and you can have instant liquidity. I'll share with the listeners, Zach. I'll pull up on my screen. I'll share with the listeners what we do there. Like if you're watching this, you can take a look. This is how simple this is, right? I'm logged into one of our little back offices, a demo fun back office for us, right, that we use. And this is what the dashboard looks like, right? And you can either buy 1 ounce silver eagles, 1 ounce gold eagles, 100-ounce silver bars, or 1 ounce gold bars, right? But this is how easy this is. Let's say that I want to buy or sell some gold or some silver eagles. By the way, silver is so undervalued today, right? Its ratio is so crazy. It's normally the ratios are so out of whack right now between gold and silver. Most people think that it's greatly undervalued. And I happen to be one of those people that thinks it's greatly undervalued. But this is how simple this is. If I want to buy some gold eagles right now, they're selling, or silver eagles, we're selling those for $44.68. If I click this buy button, I go, how much do I want to buy? I go, this is really quite simple. I want to buy $50. Actually, I'm going to do $10 for the illustration. I just want to show you. $10. That's all I got right now. I got some buying power. I could have used a credit card. I could use what I click buy. Guess what? Boom, done.
Hey,
that's simple.
By the way, Josh.
Yeah.
That's 2 monsters.
Oh yeah, that's 2 monsters. Dang.
Right? Think about it. Like, really think about it. Okay. You every day we make a choice. Do I go buy a Red Bull and a Monster and a candy bar with my extra money that I got kicking around? Or do I just jump in here and like, just throw $10 in? Right?
Yeah.
Who knows what it's going to do? It's like, that is how you start. People ask, how do you get wealthy? You just have to put your money where it matters.
Yeah, it's all you have to do, right? And so now in this case, right, I got 0.224 more ounces of silver eagles, right? Is what I just got. And what's really cool, right? Let's say that I need to sell some of my metal. So I have over here $6,000 worth of gold eagles here. And I go, you know what? I really need to sell some. Right this second, okay? Right this second, I can go, you know what? What are they buying back for? First of all, I'll click back out. I can go, what's it being bought back for? $3,369 an ounce. That's the buyback price. Okay. By the way, remember, gold was $2,100 a year ago. Gold was $1,600 5 years ago. Like,
yeah, and relative, Josh, I might just add, go do a little research.
Yeah.
Go call your pawn shop. Go call anybody else. Like, see what they will buy your gold back for.
And I want to show you, right? Let's say I want to sell $100 back. Yeah, exactly. I want to sell $100 back. I know the exact price. Look, there it is. I'm buying the company, Sound Money, is buying it back right this second at $3,369.29 an ounce. And I want to sell back I need $100. So it converts it 0.02965 an ounce, and it's going to do it immediately. And I click sell. Boom, done. Okay. If I want to send that to my bank account, I click one button and it comes to me. By the way, this is what else is cool, right? I go, you know what? I got some of these silver eagles. I got 185 of them. If I want to have them shipped to my house, I click this button, ship. This is what's cool. I could type in here anywhere from 1 ounce to 183 ounces. And guess what? This is what's really cool. I click that button, Zach. A robot goes and grabs it, takes it out of the vault, robotically puts it in a robotically robotically operated shipping machine, and waiting for FedEx first thing tomorrow morning. We're at 4:00 our time right now. It's all packaged and done robotically and waiting for FedEx to take it to my house. How cool is that? right?
Yeah, we are heavily invested in the latest technology.
Yeah. So, but my point is, right, we tried to make it really simple. And by the way, I don't like to do this, but
Hey, maybe this is something really cool too for all of our sports enthusiasts. If I lose a golf game and I owe somebody money, or I lose a bet on the Chiefs Super Bowl game, what can I do here?
well, you can always do this, Zach, right? We have a section here called send a gift, right? There's Zach. I can go, I'm going to send Zach some Silver Eagles for immediate delivery, and I'm going to send him $10 worth. I want you to see this, right? Boom, done. I just gifted Zach Davis 0.2238, which is $10 worth at current prices right now. Boom, done. It's in my ledger. It's there. Zach's going to get an email or a text message and an email right this second, letting him know that I just gifted him 10 ounces, right, of metal. I just want you to think about how powerful that is. It's actually making gold and silver transactable in the world. And so that's what we do, right? And we just felt like today, hey, the world, like our listeners need to understand this is, in the world we live today, the question's valid. Where's gold going? Well, I know this much. It's going up. But I also know the most important thing is that you have it and that you have it in a transactable way.
Yeah, in a way you can use it, right? You're like, you can ship it to my house, but why? Why would you ever do that? Why would you ever want to hold that asset into your home? Like, it puts you at risk. And then you can't use it, right? You're going to have to go to a pawn shop and try to sell it, and they're going to beat the crap out of you when you sell it back to them. So, I mean, I think, again, part of the reason that we're kind of showing this is we've had so many questions, or people like, what do you even do with gold and silver? So one of the states in the U.S. passed a resolution to allow companies to transact in gold and silver, right? And make it so that you take it as legal tender and you actually transact with it. Well, the governor vetoed it. Why did he veto it? Because he said there is no software on planet Earth that is developed that will allow people to transact with each other in gold and silver. They just don't know, right? If I told you the amount of transactions that we have done, you would say, yeah, you guys are not a small company.
No,
we don't advertise, right? We're not on TV. We don't have billboards, all those kind of things. We just use our friends, right? And as people tell other people about it, the company has really grown. It's been really awesome because it's blessed other people's lives in doing that. But by and large, we really have flown under the radar with this company. And I really do think it's time that the world sees what technology is out there, because, man, it's blessed the lives of so many people.
yeah, and it's really fun and really simple. And at the end of the day, you know, you and I and our partners in this venture of Sound Money, we created it because we really believe that every single household needs to secure their future with gold and silver. And we said, hey, we have to make it easy, simple, safe, easy, and fun to be able to transact in gold and silver. And we've done that now. And yeah, our little company, I don't know, Silicon Valley seems to think that we're like the coolest thing that ever got built. You know, one of the fastest companies to over $250 million that's ever happened in the history of man, but whatever. And so we just think it ought to help people, right? And that it needs to be available for the masses. And so if you're one of the listeners and you are one of the ones asking these questions, we get a lot about where we think gold and silver is going. Well, given that we've put up our own money and our own time, effort, and talents in this space, it ought to tell you what we think about it. We think there's no end in our lifetime to the security and the safety that it provides and the ability to preserve a person's wealth. So
yeah, and I think, Josh, if someone is listening going, oh, this gold is, man, it's just so high right now. Could it? I don't think we've seen the top, and I seriously think silver is undervalued. Like, there's a ratio that gold and silver has always had for years and years and years. And then it broke that ratio. And at some point, in my mind, that's got to come back, right? So I think silver is significantly undervalued. I think there's a lot of opportunity in silver still.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, right? That's and we believe it enough that we are heavily invested in Silver Eagles. You know, we live in the country of the world that has the most sought after form of a silver coin in the world, the American Silver Eagle. And you and I and our partners are beyond heavily invested there. There was a point here recently, Zach, that our little company here, Sound Money, acquired 50% of every eagle produced by the U.S. Mint. 50% of every single coin produced in a month period was sold only to the Sound Money wallet because we believe that much in it. And we're just, and we believe that our people can secure their future with it. So hopefully it was helpful for you today. We love the opportunity to get together and talk about something that we're passionate about. We're thankful for the questions, right, that came from the listeners about this topic. And we wanted to get to it a little bit ago, but it's just been nonstop people asking this question. And so for this week, we're just grateful to be able to spend a few minutes and talk to you about where we think is going to happen with the gold and silver markets and ways that you can participate with it. And just check it out. Check it out if you're a listener that's never participated with the Sound Money Wallet. Go check it out and see what you think. So, Zach, last words.
Yep, I agree, Josh. I think look, I am extremely bullish on America. I'm optimistic in her ingenuity, and I'm optimistic in the people. I'm optimistic even with people in the government that are trying to do the right thing and trying to get a handle on this. And I think the reason I'm optimistic about it is because I have a plan B. Right? It's easy to be optimistic and believe that we can pull ourselves out of this and that there's a future for America when I'm doing the same thing that the institutions that govern America are doing, right? When I'm buying the same asset that those institutions are buying, it's pretty easy to be optimistic and say, we'll figure it out. And if we don't, I'm going to be okay anyway, right? So I think, I just think it's a good strategy. So we appreciate everybody jumping on with us today and appreciate all the questions. If you have more questions, by the way, from any of the topics that we've covered in any of the podcasts that we've done in the past that you want us to dive more into like we have today, hit us up. Let us know. We'll talk about what you guys think is interesting. And if we have an opinion on it, we'll share it with you. If we don't, we'll tell you we had got no idea about that topic. So but it's been fun. Thanks, Josh.
You got it. You guys have a great week. Can't wait to see you next week on the Sound Money, Sound Principles podcast. Have a great week.
See you guys.